see is our dodge, right? And our dodge is basically our ability just to get the hell out of the way. If we want to try to dodge, we come here. We press our dodge. And as you can see, 13 skill, I rolled a 59. I failed miserably. If I have a bonus to my dodge, like for some spectacular reason, I decide to give you a bonus, you would come here, you would enter the bonus, and you would submit. And as you can see, with the 63, I easily dodged the oncoming attack. The next thing we see is fumble. Fumble is where we go whenever we personally fumble. If we personally fumble, we come here and press this button. And as you can see at the bottom, it says fall, lose parry. This round takes 1d3 rounds to get up. Yeah, that kind of sucks. A little slippity-doo. Let's see if we can get something else. I just lose my next d3 attacks. Oh, shield strap breaks. Lose shield. You know, as you can see, there are 55 variants of fumble, and they all stink. Alright, so the next thing we're looking at is this hit locations here. Now, the hit locations, for the lack of a better term, are where you would be hitting another creature. Alright, so right now it's set for human. Let's say we want to switch it to four-legged, or we want to switch it to centaur. So we have to stay alert to the creatures that we are fighting so that we can change our hit locations so that when we roll our attacks, the hit location that we strike is correct. The next thing we see is our die roll, d20. Or it could be a d20 plus 10, or a d10, period, or even a d8. This is a reference to high and low ground, right? So if I'm on top of a horse and I'm swinging a sword down at a guy below me, I'm more than likely going to hit him in the arms, chest, and head, correct? So what you do is you give the person a d8 plus 12, and you're guaranteed to have them hitting them in one of those locations. Now, vice versa, the guy on the ground is more than likely going to hit me in the leg or the abdomen. So the reverse is done. Okay, so we're going to scroll down to where it says weapons. Under weapons, we have this thing right here called modifiers. Whenever we're doing something that modifiers all areas, when I say all areas, I mean all weapons, this is where we put it. And examples of this would be fighting on icy ground, slippery ground, uneven ground, rocky ground, fighting an opponent from the prone, or fighting a person in the prone. All right, so basically somebody that's fallen and you're stabbing them from above, yeah, you get a bonus. You're attacking from somebody from behind, you get a bonus. And it would affect every weapon you had. Because it doesn't matter which weapon you were swinging, you're going to get that bonus, right? So right now we're going to go down to melee weapons more specifically. All right. So first thing we're going to see is the melee weapon, broadsword, the skill that's being used, broadsword. There are many different kinds of broadswords, so the name may change for the melee weapon, but the skill used would still be broadsword. Okay? So the next thing we see is the default button. All right, it's a default switch to be more exact. We click this, and what will happen is our skill, which is presently 50%, would go to 25%, half. So we don't click this button ever. Big old hands off. You know, if I could put a sticker on it, I would. The next thing we see is the weapon strike rank. Yes, every weapon has its own strike rank. And then it is added to our personal strike rank, and we come up with a 7. So if you remember from earlier, We were talking about our strike ranks. Melee strike rank is 5. We come down here, 5 plus 2 is 7. Bam. That's how we get that 7. Now you get 12 strike ranks in a round, and as long as you're engaged in strike rank 7, you will swing. There are no initiatives. The next thing we see is this add to turn order button, we affectionately called the clock. All right, so when we go into combat, the first thing you may hear me say is, give me your intent, okay? And what you'll do to do that is basically you'll come over here, you'll highlight your character, okay? You'll come back to the weapon. Not yet. You'll come back to the clock, and you will click the clock, and as you can see, it shows up here in the bar now. If you don't click on yourself, you'll see it showed up down here, but it didn't show up in the box. You have to be highlighted for that number to change to the new number. Okay? The next thing we're going to see is our weapon skill. And our weapon skill is 50. The next thing we see is our modifier. So now if we're casting any spells that modify this weapon, just this weapon, this is where we put this information. All right, this is the attack or parry button. We click this, and you can see in the chat that with a 50% skill, I rolled a 67, which was a failure. I would have hit him in the abdomen. Let's try this again. All right, so this time I'm successful. A hit for 9 points of damage to the left arm. Now let's see what 9 points of damage to the left arm would have done to us. We go up to our hit locations. Left arm, 3 points of armor. So 6 points of damage go through. We type our 6 in. Now we have 0 hit points remaining, which will make this arm effectively useless. So yes, a 9 is a very successful hit. Now you may, all right, if you mouse over the damage done, you will see what was rolled. You have a 1d8 plus 1 plus 1d4. Now you may ask where the 1d4 came from. The 1d4, if you remember, is our damage bonus, automatically calculated in to the damage of the weapon. The next thing we see is this next checkbox. And this checkbox is checked when we have a mount. We'll use the mount's strength instead of our own. We don't check this because if we do, we will get a 0 damage bonus, which kind of sucks. Alright, so the next thing we see is the types of damage: slashing, impaling, and crushing. Now, just a quick lowdown of slashing, crushing, and impaling is if you special with a slashing weapon, you will roll the damage twice and roll your strength twice. If you special with a impaling weapon, such as a spear, you'll have the max damage, plus you get to roll the damage of the weapon again, plus your strength. And in the case of crushing weapons, you will max your strength damage, plus roll your strength damage, plus roll the damage of the weapon. So big, bruising guys like crushing weapons. Every weapon has its own hit points. Every weapon. If a weapon is struck for more damage, then it has hit points. It has been broken. If it does not, it only takes 1 point of damage. Moving on from that, the last box that we see, this last box. Whenever we're successful with a weapon, we come here and check the box. Okay? So let's say, just as he was successful with a broadsword, I would check that box, and at the end of combat, we would resolve that. So the very next thing we're going to look at missile weapons real quick. All right? Missile weapons are defined by your DSR, your dex strike rank. So whenever we fire a missile weapon, regardless of what it is or how many we have, we come here and we highlight our character on the field, and we press the clock. You can see missile weapon, one shot, first shot, strike rank 3. All right, and there it is, strike rank 3. Now, we're firing a javelin, so that's a 1 round per round weapon. It has 30% skill. We know what the default does. 30% skill. We know what the modifier is there for. We know that this is our attack button. We know that this is the damage that the weapon does. This DB we do not know. This DB is our damage bonus, since we are firing a missile weapon that has our strength backing it up, such as a thrown item or like a sling or something like that. We get to include our damage bonus into it. Now, it's not our full damage bonus. It's half our damage bonus, but something is better than nothing. We can tell with this case that it's an impaling weapon, and it has a range of 20, a rate of 1 per round, 10 hit points, and we have 2 of them currently in our possession.